Welcome back to Story Matters. Today, my guest is my dear friend James Tolbert.
Hey,
You may know James, a brilliant actor, choreographer, singer, dancer. We just worked together on Cinderella's Castle. It was so fun working with you, playing your right hand man as the prince.
uh, I
So
think you were.
fun.
The consensus is you were way more charming than I was. So
No, it's just because I wasn't your character is a filthy man.
yeah,
And my character wants to murder royals. So,
yeah,
uh,
and really, and that, I think it's apropos of the time. So I totally get why people are on Team Taddeus. Because honestly, me too.
yeah.
Yeah,
You did such a great job in the show, and it was so fun doing that. It feels like a lifetime ago, but
it does.
it's
But
out
like
now.
it is. It's
Um,
up for the masses. It's there.
yeah, yeah. Today we're hopping on a conversation because we have both seen Ryan Coogler Sinners. James, I think you've seen it twice.
I've seen it twice as of yesterday.
And I'm seeing it again today. So
Yeah.
we just love this movie, and I've been dying to talk about it with people. This movie's doing really, really well, so it doesn't need our help to do better. But I'm excited to share it, and I just want to say out the top, this is your go see Sinners announcement. So if you've been like, should I see Sinners? I just think we both think yes.
Mhm.
We are going to spoil Sinners and talk about all the semantics of it in this conversation. So, if you want to not be spoiled, maybe you want to go see it first and come back, bookmark it. But we both love this movie, and James and I were talking at like a thing on Saturday, and we are like, we should talk about the movie. So we're going to take a deep dive into it. So James, just before we get into like, there's so many things I want to talk about with you, but just what were your overall thoughts like sense of going into it and what you took away from it? I'll just say really fast. For me, Ryan Coogler is quickly becoming, just because he's doing a movie, I'll see it. Like, I don't even need a trailer. He's up there for me with like filmmakers. You go, Ryan Coogler's attached, I'm in. I didn't even watch a trailer for this, and I gotta tell you, that was a crazy experience as somebody
Yeah.
who usually gets things spoiled and I don't mind. I had no idea. I just was like, time period, uh the South, cool, didn't know what it was about. So I had a crazy moment about 30 minutes into the film. But what was your experience and sense of watching Sinners in the theater?
So, as someone who did see the trailer beforehand, I kind of knew what I was walking into, but none of that would have prepared me for the actual content of the film. I think
That's
from
true.
beginning to end, what Ryan Coogler constructed is one of the most brilliant pieces of both horror and drama and music combined into one film, at least of our generation. I would like to say that I think Ryan Coogler is quickly becoming one of ours. I think we grew up with a
100%.
Scorsese, a Spielberg, we grew up with the George Lucas, like we had all those, and we kind of let them continue to not only make movies but influence styles of movies. I think Ryan Coogler is now, I think, a definitive director of our generation. And I really,
100%.
really appreciate what he's doing with film. And in particular, this one. I loved everything from the cinematography, from the production design, costuming. And I think Ludwig Göransson, this probably is my favorite movie score I've heard in ages. It
That
is,
dude is crazy too. That dude he's done Childish Gambino stuff. He scored Oppenheimer, won an Oscar last year. He did Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Then he shows up and drops this, and you're like, what? How is this
yeah.
the same dude? That's crazy.
And we can and I do want to specifically talk about the score eventually, but I just
Hmm.
have to say the intentionality between that and just also Ryan's direction and also the performances. We can't ignore the actors who really added so much life to these characters. I would dare to say that this is probably my favorite Michael B. Jordan film that I've seen him in. I'm not trying to knock his performances and anything else, but I just think what he was able to create is something that I hope other directors see in this movie and think, okay, great. Now we know what to do with Michael B. Jordan because he's a very
Hmm.
charismatic person and actor. And I think this has been the first film to really showcase that more than just the tough guy, more than just the pretty boy. I think we really
Right.
now are tapping into some of the eccentricities of his performance. So honestly, without going into too much detail, one of the best films I've seen in a long time.
I completely agree. I think what I found to be so cool about it is that this movie on paper, in my opinion, should not work. If you looked at it like as a draft, you'd be like, "There's too many ideas here,"
Yeah.
and I think that in a lesser director's hands, it would just feel like, "Oh man, you tried to do everything." And I don't know how he did it, but he manages to weave in and out of these multifaceted like ideas
Mhm.
seamlessly. And I would say too, my pitch to people, I think when you talk about horror like this, what's that term, elevated horror? I think sometimes people who are not film buff people, they tend to roll their eyes and go, "Oh my god," so it's like not a fun movie. My pitch is this movie is a blast. And Ryan Coogler never forgets that he's making a really fun summer popcorn movie. It is campy, it's funny,
Mhm.
but he has meat on the bone. And so you can have that, oh my God, we're doing this, we're doing the thing. And then he twists and he turns in these moments that are so unexpectedly beautiful and profound. And like my mouth was open and I was like, I've never seen anything like this.
Mhm.
And he just kind of weaves in and out of that in a way that I was like, this, I don't think anybody else could do this. I think like I said, in lesser hands, it would feel like, oh, you're trying to do everything on the menu, and he just cooks everything perfectly, in my opinion.
I think it's about the studio influences versus a director's vision, right? And when a studio
Right.
is constantly telling you to direct with an algorithm in mind, you lose that
Hmm.
creative edge, you lose that point of view. And I think, like as you were saying, there's so much unintentional or rather intentional humor in the movie. The first time I saw it, my theater was cracking up like at least
Same,
every five
same.
minutes. It was fantastic because you weren't expecting that, but the way it releases tension is so smart. Like Cornbread is, I loved, like he was so funny in that movie. And
Incredible.
anytime he was on there, you just knew you were in for something fun. And I would even say, so if we're talking about, it's not a strict horror movie. So I would say the first 45 minutes plays like a heist movie. Because aren't they just going
Yeah,
around
it's
grabbing
getting the
friends?
gang together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
And
like
so,
it literally we have like the car and it's like, okay, there's two people. Now there's three people. Now there's four people. And you just keep adding like
yeah,
getting the whole team together.
Yeah. So, like you said, like on paper, it shouldn't work, but because you have such grounded characters set in a time that, even though it's almost 100 years ago, a lot of us have some knowledge of, but not enough to know that, hey, there were literally black sides of the street and white sides of the streets, and that's where they were shopping on day to day basis. These Chinese
Mm.
immigrants that
And
were
even
all.
like seeing the Chinese immigrants that were
Mhm.
like not this sort of stereotype that we often see, but like no, they're part of that culture and that world, and they have the accent, and they like that was such I'd never seen anything like that
Yeah.
before on camera. My
It's
my my friend Dave Chen, who hosts the Filmcast, even commented on that, and he's Taiwanese, I believe, and he's like, I've never seen an Asian character in the South with a Southern accent. Like he's like, I've just never seen that. It's true. We know that this was a very real part of the, but like so much of film falls prey to very specific stereotypes, and it was just like, whoa, I've never seen that. That's so cool, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. If we want to talk about like the type of horror we get, it's, are there jump scares? Absolutely. Is it gory? For sure. But I wouldn't even say it's like a classic horror movie because
Hmm.
it's not predicated on we're here to scare you. This was here to
Right.
tell you a story, and they did it so well. They tie it with emotion. They give you a main antagonist in Remick who has, you can tell there's a story behind him. He's been a vampire for centuries, I would assume. And apparently, if you look on Spotify, there is the album that's on Spotify has companion images of newspaper headlines that suggest when Remick might have arrived in America. So he's
Oh,
bringing with
interesting.
him a story of the Catholic domination in Ireland and how they were taking their identity and their culture. And so when the Irish immigrated, they brought their sound and their music and their history with them. And so Remick, yes, he's evil because he's our main villain in the movie, but his intentions are, well, I want community. I want what was taken from me. And aren't these people around you? Aren't they taking this from you? So why won't you just join me? Isn't that so great that Ryan
Mm.
Coogler, I think he's so good
And
at
it
writing antagonists.
it works on, and I say this with a limited perspective, but for me, I saw three reads of, the movie's about vampires. I didn't know that, by the way. So like that moment, it's a moment in the movie where all of a sudden the camera goes into a room and a guy's feeding on someone, and I turned to my friend and I was like, "Is this about vampires?" I was like, "Wait, what?" So it's about that. I had no idea, which is a really delightful twist. I normally don't like vampire movies. I'm gonna be honest. I'm more to like just the tropes of vampires. I'm like, I don't care. But this was so fun. And by the way, it really plays with vampire tropes in really funny ways too,
Mhm.
about like being invited in and all this stuff. But
Yes.
there was three reads I took away from the sort of metaphor of the whole thing. First of all, it's a fun vampire movie. Like
Mhm.
that's just what it is. But then there's this second layer of tapping into the idea of cultural appropriation and leeching off of talent, and the idea of like wanting to not only just take someone's stories but to possess them and to embody them, to own them for yourself, right? And
Mhm.
to just sort of absorb other cultures. But then you bring up that point of also, it's a little bit more complex than just, oh, the bad guy is the bad guy. Like also they also have experienced that, and then they're acting that out. But then there's this other layer, which, and I'm just reading into this, but
Mhm.
I couldn't help but wonder if there's a metaphor of even like Kugler speaking about the experience of what it is to try to make things in the system of Hollywood or whatever, and having stories to share, and then having people go, I love what you do. I'm going to come in and I'm going to absorb it. Like there's just there's so many layers to read through it, but none of it, in my opinion, feels like, and this is the theme. The metaphor is appropriation. It's like it's there
Yeah.
and it's profound, but it's not like
Mhm.
it never forgets that it's a really fun movie. And for me, it actually made those themes so much more resonant because I felt like I was allowed to discover them and I was brought to them, as opposed to, you have to take this away from it. And that's such it's just so,
Mhm.
again, I think a lesser movie would take this metaphor and really try to teach you something with it. And I think this movie says, I'm not teaching you anything, but you're going to experience and feel and go through it. And then you're going to take away such a richer, emotional, visceral experience from it.
Mhm.
Are there any other reads that like, do those reads track for you? Like what I just said, or like how do you see like that kind of metaphor of these white Catholic people show up at a juke joint to say, we want your voice, we want your music, we want your stories.
Mhm.
How does that read? What does that mean for you?
Well, I will say I'm coming from a place of having listened to a few interviews from Kugler. Specifically, he wanted the vampires to be Irish. He wanted that because of
Mm,
their history, and he also, as a
right.
person, he just is very infatuated with Irish culture. So that was very intentional on his part to do that. So for me, yeah, when you're watching on the surface, yes, it does read as the appropriation of white people occupying a black space, and it kind of reads like that when they get to the juke joint. Immediately you see the tension of like, well, what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, well, we can play our song, and they do that very choreographed, very nice little folk moment, and it reads so
Our
well.
theater laughed so hard at that part too.
Yes, it was just so perfectly done because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I've had moments like that before where I've had white people approach me and say like, oh, well, I'm into rap music, and then they'll give me their version, and it's just, thank you for showing
Thank
up.
you so much.
Thank you so much. And so like I saw that moment, and it made so much sense to me. But yeah, but when you hear the layers about why he was intentional about these things, it makes a little bit more sense. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a dual purpose. I think yes, it can be about appropriation, but it can also be about those people who like, yeah, well, we don't see color, we don't, this isn't what
Right.
we're about, and I mean, because I even think Remick says something to the effect of they were probably gonna go after the Klan anyway. Like once they got everyone in the juke joint, they were probably gonna go after all the racists anyway, because he doesn't really like them, and that's again what he went through in Ireland. So it's
Hmm.
not like he was doing it for any racist purpose. He was just going to do it because he needs more souls and more stories.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. It's so interesting.
Hey, Kurt Mega, jumping in to interrupt myself here to say, hey, if you enjoy these kind of discussions, if you enjoy conversations about the craft of creativity with other artists and creators talking about the process and the creative like flow of storytelling, consider subscribing to my channel and also check out my new Substack. It's free to subscribe. It's kurtmega.substack.com and get access to more stuff like this: video podcasts, creative conversations, and reflections on the artistic journey. And if you want to go behind the scenes and learn more about the actual projects I'm creating and actually add your voice into the mix, consider becoming my patron at patreon.com/kurtmega. Join my creative community, join my Discord. We have a lot of fun hanging out there, chatting, and I also share a lot of behind the scenes of what I'm working on. Thanks so much for watching. Now on with the video.
Mhm.
I want to talk about the music component of this.
Oh,
There is this one. In my opinion, like an all-timer sequence that's just one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I remember when basically in the film, the character of Preacher Boy Sammy is asked to come forward to the juke joint and like, hey, it's your time. I want you to do your song, sing. And the idea that's implied at the beginning of the film is that some people have a gift so profound musically that it connects to the past and the future. It opens a portal to the,
God.
and you literally see in this what feels like a wonder. And I'm sure there's a lot of camera magic happening, but he essentially opens a portal to the past and the future, and all eras of music come ancestral to rock and roll to rap.
Mhm.
They're all there. I just think it's one of the most incredible sequences of a film I've ever seen, and I thought of you specifically and some of the stuff that we've talked about with just
Mhm.
like the way you think about choreography and staging and some of the inspiration that you would. What is the name of the group that you really
Oh, Jungle.
this yes, I
Yeah.
thought of that. I thought of some
Yes.
of some of their music videos that you
Mhm.
would share with, but I was kind of gobsmacked at the whole sequence. I just think it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in a 5 to 7. I don't even know how long it goes on. It's
Yeah.
kind of transcendent. What was your take on like that moment in the film?
It's it's a type of scene that makes you want to become a filmmaker. You want to
Yes,
do
yeah.
something like that. I here's the thing. So I no one spoiled what that moment was for me, but they said there is a moment in the movie. So I knew there was something that was going to happen. And it's so crazy because as it's occurring, there's a moment where your brain isn't quite processing what happens because you immediately notice something that's anachronistic from the rest of the picture. And then
Hmm.
and then the camera keeps moving and it just adds more elements as it goes on. And I legitimately sat forward in my chair. I was just like, whoa, what is this? And it's so whenever I harp about intentionality before in the past with you in conversations, it's this. It's stuff like this where
Hmm.
it's saying, yes, we have a message about the connection and the universal unification of music, but also as a visionary of a director as Ryan Coogler is, he's saying, okay, great, let's weave through this and watch. Because notice how even when we get to our any kind of immigrants or people from different backgrounds, we get West African, we get Chinese, we get more updated rap and hip hop. It's just it purposely takes you on a journey. And you just can't help
Hmm.
but be overwhelmed and take it all in, and to the point where literally the juke joint is on fire and then they're dancing in the flames of their culture and music. It's
Oh,
I
I just got chills you saying that.
yeah, it's yes, it makes me want to be a filmmaker. I'm also so jealous that I wasn't the guy that came up with that. Cuz like who
Yeah,
has enough
it's a
vision? Yeah.
it's literally that thing of I go sometimes there's moments when you're watching a movie that makes me want to quit because I go, uh, I'll never I'll never in a million years come up with something that good. I should just I need to walk away.
Yeah.
Somebody else has done. You know what I mean? I'm joking, but like it truly, and this look at the risk of sounding pretentious, I think the word cinematic it gets thrown around a lot, and
Yeah.
it gets thrown around to just sort of ascribe vague platitudes towards this. When I use the word cinematic, like this now will become the thing that I think of,
Mhm.
where you go, it is truly immersion through all the forms of media. It is every form of media. It is music, it is sound, it is image, it is
Mhm.
movement, it is dance. And nobody's saying anything. No one's like, here's what you're seeing and here's what it all means. It's like let me just experience it. And your reaction to it, your visceral, physical, sensorial reaction is the thing. That
Mhm.
to me, when we talk about cinema, like I go, that's the thing where you go, I don't even need dialogue to like
Yeah.
carry me. It's the image, and it's just, and there's this just incredible moment I've thought of repeatedly of, there's this shot after that whole sequence where we were behind the three vampires as they approach, and the whole building has burned down metaphorically, like it
Mhm.
hasn't, because
Mhm.
shortly after we're back to sort of normal.
Yeah.
But there's just this amazing image where you see Omar Miller as Cornbread sitting there on the chair
Mhm.
in front of the building, but there's no building, and you
Yeah.
just see the entire, oh,
Yeah.
and it's like, and then the vampires can like see through. It's like we're seeing what they're seeing. Like they can
Mhm.
see through the walls, and I still am trying to unpack what all that means. But it
Mhm.
almost like, who cares? It's just the feeling of it. It's the sense of it.
I was thinking that
It's just
too.
overwhelming.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to not have the answer. And I think this is one of those cases. Like, I would love to be the analyst that just is able to break all that down and figure out why Coogler made that direction. But sometimes it's so great to just sit in the feeling that an image gives you.
Hmm.
And I love that he took every advantage of the cinematic medium to tell that portion of the story, because it's just, I mean, I think if you did it on stage, it would just have to be done a different way. You can't get away with it the way that
Right.
he did in a film. And so I have to commend him so much, and really the whole team, because honestly, the cinematography was beautiful throughout this
Exquisite.
film.
Exquisite.
So gorgeous.
It's one of the most gorgeous films I've seen in a very, very long time. Shot
Mhm.
on film, often like really embracing shadow.
Yes.
And there's all kinds of, like, there's this whole sequence where Haley Steinfeld's character goes out to the Irish vampires as
Hmm.
they're kind of waiting to be let in. And it's so interesting because it breaks every rule of like lighting, as I understand it, of how
Hmm.
to like light the eyes and make sure that there's not harsh shadows. And it's like, nope, you can't even see the eyes. It's literally like this skeletal sort of thing. And it's such a visually striking, and you're like, I can't even see their eyes. And then when they open them as she's walking away and we just see the red, it's
Hmm.
just like he breaks all these rules
Yeah.
and then reinvents them in really fascinating ways. um
Where
I,
did you see it? Where did you see it for? And what did you see it on IMAX? Did you see it on film, digital? Where did you see it
I
first?
saw it. I saw it at the Burbank 16 IMAX, which is a great experience. I'm seeing it later today at City Walk, the true 70 mil IMAX. But
Okay.
later today, I'm going to see it, and it's like, I guess, that's only a few theaters in the world have the true
Hmm.
IMAX 70 mil. But I saw it at Burbank, and so we did have like those moments when the screen would expand,
Hmm.
and then collapse and stuff. But yeah, I just thought the film looked great. I saw a thing yesterday, and I don't know if this is true, so I could be completely speaking. I should have researched this before, but somebody was saying, maybe it's an interview, but Coogler was saying there's a specific format of film that he shot on that apparently was like known for not being ideal for capturing darker skin tones.
Hmm.
And like it's this whole thing, and he decided to shoot on that film.
Yeah.
And like that was even the choice of film
Hmm.
and capturing the image was an intentional sort of re- uh, 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 retroactively going, oh, you said we couldn't do this. I'm
Yeah.
doing it. And I didn't even know that. I just heard about this in a podcast yesterday, and I wanted to look into it more. So I could be, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I thought that was just like a fascinating component of the actual image being captured
Uh-huh.
is saying something about reclaiming this. I don't know. I thought that was fascinating.
Uh, I will, when we're done with this, I'll send you a video. He actually did an interview with Kodak where he talks about the different film types and then how he chose to film this movie. So that'll answer your question. I'll send that to you. But because I had an interesting experience. So this is actually not about the movie, but it's just about the projection quality. I saw it on
Sure.
digital first last week at AMC. And I'm just, I'm a slut for AMC A-list, so I'll see anything over there. But
Me too.
but then
Listen, if you're on AMC list, you're better than other people, and I just have to say it. So that's
we're
what it
the
is. Sorry.
we're the chosen ones. But yesterday I saw it at the Vista, which is doing 70 millimeter.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and it was great. It was gorgeous. But the only gripe I had was that I think they also used VistaVision on this, and in
Okay.
doing so, I noticed that the colors were way more saturated. And the reason I bring that up is for two
At
reasons.
the Vista.
At the
At the
Vista
Vista.
specifically,
In
um,
okay, gotcha.
yeah. And I noticed that so the colors were way more saturated, which meant that anytime any actor that had darker complexion, you did lose them a little bit just in their facial expressions.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then, but that's important because your point about the eyes, I felt like when I saw it last week, that the eyes were such a part of the story because some people
Hmm.
had red, some people were a little silver, and just like they definitely played a lot of tricks. Which, by the way, those are all practical. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
Really?
Yes, so
Good grief.
there's a
That's
specific
incredible.
kind of contact lens that they use because you ever notice like you can shine a light on cats' eyes and they kind of reflect back at you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they did a similar effect for the vampire eyes. And so those are all practical, which is another amazing feat about this.
That's so cool.
Yes. But I will say in this Vista viewing that I had yesterday, you lost a little bit of that. So I do caution you
Interesting.
when you view this movie, just kind of look at the specifications because I do think has a big impact on how you are able to perceive some of the images. That's literally my
Yeah.
only complaint about the movie.
Totally. No, totally. And just for anybody listening who maybe is like not a super film nerds like James and I, just so the idea of like 75 or 70 or 65 millimeter film is literally it's a bigger film stock, and so there's more information on it, and so it allows for a much richer, more detail, more depth.
Mhm.
It's kind of an incredible thing, and I think people talk about 70 mil, and people, I know I've had people like, "What is that?" And then when you see something projected in 70 millimeter, it really is like, "Oh wow, okay, this changes everything." Um, and this ties actually into the thing I with Coogler as a director in general, I'm just so impressed by. He didn't have to shoot this film in on film. He didn't have to do it in IMAX. The fact that I'm not saying he has a blank check. I'm sure there's all kinds of. I'm sure like it's still difficult to make things, but had a lot of success with Black Panther. The fact that his first film sort of back out of that world is this to me says everything about him as an artist. Where you go, he probably could have like gone and pitched, I don't know, something more uh, modern or traditional mainstream. I don't even know what those mean, but you know what I mean. Like
Mhm.
just a blockbuster. He probably could have done whatever he wanted. And the fact that he made this
Yeah.
with such specificity and such intention, it just to me it speaks volumes about what kind of artist he is and the kind of teams that he puts together, because I'm sure this was a challenging film to do
Mhm.
and off the beaten path. And I just go, it's like that to me is the joy of like when directors and filmmakers and artists in general hit it big. i never I'm never jealous of that in the sense of like, I know sometimes people will be like, oh, they sold out. I'm like, screw that, get your money, get paid, go make a bunch of money. It is so cool when then they take those opportunities and then bring them back to something really creative and independent. And I think both those things can be valid. Like we can go watch Black Panther and go, amazing. Holy
Yeah.
crap, Marvel rules. And then also return back to a sandbox of
Mhm.
let me make something really special. And I don't know, I just think it speaks volumes that he made such an intentional choice to do something like this. And it's paying off massively.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's encouraging to me as an artist.
Yeah, he's been sitting on the script forever. Like it
Yeah,
existed well before he was doing the Black Panthers of the world, but the thing is, no one was saying yes, and so he had to make those big budget Marvel movies so studios
he
can
had
say,
to make
"Oh,
the Irish vampires a bunch of money so he could.
yes." So that's the message of the movie: make the Irish vampires the movie, and then you can make your own movie. That's the message.
uh,
Yes, but yeah,
what
I
did
will
you
say.
think of?
Go ahead. No, ask.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry. I
No,
was
no,
gonna say,
you.
what did you think of the ending? This movie has the movie ends, but it doesn't end. By the way, stay through the credits. Pretty important stuff happens. Like maybe the most impactful stuff happens after the first round of credits. There's a second sort of there's like multiple things, but what did you sort of make of the end of the film? where it wraps up, and then there's a jump forward in
Mhm.
time, a pretty
Yeah.
dramatic jump forward in time to present day at the very end. What was your takeaway from those things?
I'll go back a little backwards because I remember thinking, oh, one of the first things I was ever told by a script writing mentor was that always start your script in the where it's entertaining. Start there. Don't give us some sort of preamble. And when the first thing you see is Sammy coming back to the church, already clearly like gone through battle, bloodied. So you already know something happened, but also it keys you in that he's survived whatever it is. So that's kind of plucked you out of the suspense in terms of him as the movie goes
Right.
on. So on my second viewing, I thought, okay, so then what's the purpose of showing him here? And it's like you could think of it two ways. You could question one, was he turned as a vampire? Well, clearly not because he's in the sunlight. So then why are we showing this? And then it becomes this message about following passion versus
Mm-hmm.
following the fate that has been chosen for you. He could, as I think was it Smoker? I forgot Smoker Stack. I think it was Stack who told him, if you want to play music, just play church music. Don't follow our lives. Don't do what we're doing. Just follow your own path. But I think Sammy really truly felt like his calling in life, his passion in life was music. So even with this
Mm-hmm.
broken guitar that he has in his hand, the life that he wants to live is not by this church. It's not with his immediate family. He's got to go off and find something. So by the time we go fast forward to what 92, 93-year-old Sammy, and he's had this whole
Yeah.
career as a blues folk musician. Um, he was not one thing he was not afraid of when Stack and Mary come back is about dying. He said because even
Mm-hmm.
Stack tells him like, hey, at any minute now you're going to be gone. He's like, you know what? Okay, do it because that day up until the sun went down, that was the best day of my life. And as
Mm.
long as I've been able to have that and then follow that passion and that feeling for the rest of my life, I'm good. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we call this movie Sinners, and you can look at all the different characters and follow maybe which sin they categorize under. But for his,
Yeah.
he kind of followed a little bit of selfishness and wanting to just pursue something that fulfilled him. And if that makes him a sinner, fine. But then his greatest sin is to be happy. And he didn't hurt
Mm.
anybody along the way. He didn't do anything to anybody, but follow his gift and his passion. I think it's such a beautiful way to wrap that up. And also the fact
Yeah.
that Stack honored his brother's request and to leave Sammy alone, and he did.
It's such a beautiful moment in our theater. The first time I saw it, when Sammy's, you're not sure what's happened to him, and it cuts
Mhm.
to him driving away, and he's got just the piece of his guitar, and he
Mhm.
like pounds it against his chest.
Mhm.
Hey, that's a cool moment. But in our theater, some lady behind us went, "Yeah, that's right," and everybody went, "Yeah!" Like the whole crowd like erupted. It was such like an electric moment. Him
Yeah.
driving away, pounding the guitar. Some lady up in the balcony, or up above us, was going, "That's right, Sammy. That's right,
Yeah.
Richard Boy." And the whole crowd like lost it. And I was like, "This is the movies."
Yes.
It was such a cool thing. And also too, I thought I believe is it Stack who survived at the end
Yeah.
to
That's Stack. Yeah.
through that whole sequence too. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
please give Michael B. Jordan a Tommy gun. Let's watch him go crazy. But
Oh, that's
that's a
Smoke.
good
That's Smoke.
example, actually. Oh, I'm Smoke. So sorry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
Smoke. Um, Michael B. Jordan, Michael A. Jordan.
I know.
Apparently, his dad's name is Michael A. Jordan. I found this out today. His
Wait,
dad is
what?
like Michael A. Jordan. His dad's name is apparently Michael A. Jordan, and and then the son is Michael B. Jordan, which is great.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see what's going to happen here. Okay.
um, but that moment where we get this incredibly cathartic payoff of like, yeah, go these people up,
Mhm.
and then it transitions to, I just like silently sobbed the moment when he sees his sort of soulmate lover. They it's a complicated relationship, but there's something they share an
Mhm.
eternal bond, and she's holding this child. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I mean,
Yeah.
it was, and I go, this is what I'm talking about. You shouldn't be able to go from boop, 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 to that, and
Mhm.
it just happens so seamlessly and so
Mhm.
beautifully. Um, and not like, it's like doing the supernatural in such an intimate, he's sitting there and he's looking at this sort of heinous, KKK guy dying in front of him, and then he also hears her to the side, and the way that he just goes back and forth between the afterlife and the present. It's so simple.
Mhm.
There's nothing.
Yep.
There's no crazy VFX. It's just this cut. There's afterlife, and this is the. Oh, I just
Mhm.
that moment. I was like, this is cooking on all cylinders, and it just moved. It
Yes.
moved me so much. I thought it was so wonderful,
Yeah.
and she's great.
Um,
I can't remember her name. She was
which
in
one?
WandaVision. No,
Annie?
no, Loki. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about Annie. That is, I'm gonna mess up her name, but give me a second. Wait, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I had to write it down phonetically. Hold, please. Where is it? Okay, Wunmi Mosaku.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. I probably butchered it, but yes, Wunmi Mosaku.
It's just so good. So you were
Yeah,
going to say something, though. I cut you
I
off.
was. Yeah, it was the last big point I wanted to make. Um,
Yeah.
I need anyone that makes a film score to pay attention to this movie
Mm,
because yes, it is a movie about music, so inherently there's going to be some tying in of themes and motifs, but the intentionality behind from the first time you hear music in that movie to the very end, everything is so specific. And I have to speak. Speaks to Coogler and Göransson working together before, so they just know each other well enough to make this. But the choices and the emotional connection for when a certain instrument will come in and the certain type of tension that it builds, it's not just background music. The whole speech that Delroy Lindo gives about his friends that had made a bunch of money and what happened with it, where they go.
incredible.
So where another filmmaker would have created a flashback sequence, they typify it, or I should say the way they show you what's happening is just letting him speak, but they're playing in the background the sounds of them playing in the houses and the people cheering, but then the angry mob coming to
Incredible
find his friend and
storytelling.
lynching him. It's so smart. And I just need people to understand that music can be such an important device to your storytelling if you allow it the space to do so. And so, like I said,
Mm.
this is probably one of my favorite film scores I've heard in a very long time because it's so integrated to the story so well, and I really hope people pay attention to that. If this music is not something you normally listen to while watching a movie, I encourage you to go to a theater that has a really good sound design and really take all of that in because it is so specific and so good from beginning to end.
Apparently, that scene in particular was improvised. Him singing. I just read an interview or watched a video with him, and he said there was a whole monologue, and then he just in the moment, in a moment of the pain overwhelming him, starts singing this sort of hymn, this spiritual, and apparently Michael B. Jordan in the moment turned to Miles
Miles
Keaton and was
Canton,
like,
yeah.
start playing, and like that whole thing was organic, and he was saying it actually was cut from the first version of the film, and that he actually went up to Coogler and said, you got to put it in, not because of me, but because it is sort of the heart, is so central to what this movie's about. And he said, Coogler, like, listen and put it back in. It's just one of the best scenes in the film, the
Oh,
way that it, yeah, brings in music and sound. And actually something that really locked in for me about halfway through the movie, and at the end I've been thinking about, that really kind of solidified what this movie was, is it's very apocryphal. And what I mean by that is it's this kind of storytelling of a story that gets passed down from your father and your grandfather. It's like as the legend goes. And because at first, the first like 30 minutes, it, like you said, the kind of putting the team together, I was like, I'm not sure what this movie's doing exactly. And then it really started in that moment in particular, when he starts telling the story of his history and his experience. I was like, oh, this whole movie in it for me kind of feels like a story that's been passed down. And let me
mhm.
tell you about this night. And it feels like maybe some of it's indulgent, maybe some of it didn't happen, maybe, but it feels like apocryphal, and like it feels like in the vein of the art of telling stories to the next generation. It's just,
Yeah.
I love the way he did that. It's so good. It's so good. It's great, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Movies are back.
movies are we're so back. Yeah, I can't wait to see the career that Ryan Coogler has as a writer director. I feel like he's such a visionary, and we're going to get some really
Mhm.
amazing art out of him for years to come. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. I cannot think of a director that I'm just more in the pocket of. He's involved. I'm there. It does. I don't even care what it is. I'm there to see it. And I think we're like lucky to see a film like this get made. It's awesome that it's doing so well. I
Hmm.
hope that people take the lessons away from it of like let artists make things. Let people with different perspectives and new voices like have the space and look what they can do.
Hmm.
Look what can happen. So I'm just thrilled to see that it's doing so well. And I would encourage you, if you're watching this and you're on the fence about seeing it, go see it. It's great.
Absolutely.
It's really, really great. James, thank you for being here. Thank you for talking Sinners with me. I just needed to talk about it with somebody. This was great.
Yes. Oh, the pleasure is all mine because I needed someone to gush about it too, as well. So thank you for asking me.
Yeah. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
On the interwebs, I am on Instagram, JWTOLB, JW Tolb. I'm also on Blue Sky, and as of now, that's it. I'm not anywhere else. I got rid of the other socials for obvious reasons.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thanks.
I'm still on that. I'm still on the hell site that is Twitter. I started a Blue Sky and then I forget to post that. I just like I'm
Yeah,
so in the habit of Twitter that I just
yeah.
like I need to like every time I'm gonna go open Twitter, open Blue Sky and be like, oh right, because I'll forget. I'll be like, oh yeah, Blue Sky exists.
Hmm.
So anyway, I should get on there more often.
Yes. Or do what you want to do. Move at your own pace. Move at your own time.
That's
Figure it out for
true.
yourself. Yeah, just do your own thing.
Well, James, thank you for being here. And
Yes.
until next time, we'll see you at the movies. All
I love
right,
that.
bye guys.